Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. I want to answer, what is an index fund? Now, I thought I would have already answered this question, but apparently I did not, and I don't think I have a video for it. So I want to answer it right here and give you my very general thoughts, but very important thoughts about why they are important, how you can invest in them, and what you need to know. So index funds, I consider them the cornerstone of any investor, period. If you are a beginner, you need to have some portion of your money in an index fund. What is an index fund? An index fund is an investment that holds broad sections of the stock market. So for example, if I have a US index fund, it's going to invest in all the companies in the US. Period. An example of this is ITOT. You type in that ticker symbol, that's going to give you the US stock market index fund, the whole thing. You can invest in something like SPY, that is the S&P 500 index fund. It's going to invest in the top 500 companies in the United States. The best thing about index funds, or actually a few really great things about index funds, but number one, the fees are very, very, very low. In some cases, you can find some for zero fees, depending on where you're investing. They are long-term investments. I think these are the investments you can set and forget. And I think that's really important for all of us, not just aggressive investors or people who are new or people who are a little late to the game. I think everybody needs to have a good chunk of it so you can sit it and forget it. And I'm not the only person that thinks this. There are a lot of people who do. Warren Buffett, one of the world's richest people, says that the average investor should probably have their money in an index fund. But we also know studies have shown us time and time and time again that due to our emotions, due to how we perceive the stock market, that most people don't really beat the performance of an index fund. Unfortunately, that is the case. So an index fund is going to get you anywhere between 7 to 10% per year, depending on how you're looking at it. Again, that's an average. That is not every single year. That is an average. But when people are choosing stocks, you got some people picking penny stocks. You got some people picking meme stocks. In some years, you do great. Other years, you lose a lot of money. And when you average all that out for 5, 10, 15 years, you might have done better inside of an index fund. So that is the other thing. They are very, very reliable, very, very diversified. Because if I'm investing in the entire stock market, I don't have to worry about, oh, I put too much money in, I don't know, an oil stock, or I chose a company that did not do well and now I have to recover. For me, I think, I don't have the exact number, but it's like 65, almost 70% of my own money is in an index fund. If you have a 401k, one of those normal retirement accounts that most people have, you are usually given a set of different index funds to choose from. That is where you want to be. If an index fund is the only thing you do, if it's the only thing you do, yes, you are an investor. 2, you are doing enough, and that is totally fine. That is successful. I've seen tons of millionaires up close in person that only do index funds, and that's all they do, and that's all they swear by, and they're great. Okay, so they do work. If you want to do extra, you can. If you want to be more aggressive, you can. If you want to do a little more trading, you can. But I think that having that background, having that backbone, that skeleton of index funds is going to be what helps you in case you are wrong about a thing or two from time to time. So that is what an index fund is. Another question that a lot of people say is, well, what's the difference between an index fund and a mutual fund? What's the difference between an index fund and ETF? They are really one and the same, or they can be one and the same. The way I like to look at it is, think of an index fund as a flavor or a color of a car. So yeah, between a mutual fund and ETF, which are also very similar, I look at those between a truck and an SUV. They're really close. They almost do the exact same thing, but one is a little bit different than the other. So I'm not going to get into details of that. We can do an entire video about that. But think of a mutual fund as a truck. Think of a ETF as an SUV. I think that works. But they can both be index funds because they can both be blue, they can both be red. It's just how they look to you and what are the fees being charged between the two. So another example is VTSMX. That is the Vanguard Total Stock Market Mutual Fund Index Fund. So that is the flavor of it. It's in the shape of a truck, but it's red because it's an index fund. The exact same version of that for Vanguard is VTI. It is the total stock market ETF. It is still an index fund, but it is in ETF shape. So that wouldn't be an SUV, but it's still the same color red. So they can do the same things, they can invest in the same things. But again, mutual fund, ETF, that's a conversation for another day. They are both index funds at the end of the day, and that is what's most important to you. The last thing I'll say is I don't think that it makes sense to invest in two of the exact same mutual funds or mutual funds that overlap. So for example, if I have something like VTI, the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, it holds the total stock market in the US. It does not then make sense for me to invest in VOO, which is the Vanguard S&P 500 Index Funds. I have the entire stock market. Me just saying I'm going to take the top 500 isn't going to make too much of a difference. It's actually going to do a lot of overlapping, because if Apple and Amazon and Google are three of the top ones in both funds, then I'm really just doubling up there, and it doesn't make too much sense. So I would choose one of those if you're looking for those broad index funds. Lastly, there are different types and different flavors of index funds. You can have an energy index fund where it invests in mostly energy. These are like sector funds. So it takes a section of the market and just says, we're doing this entire thing and this is just all we're doing. So there are technology index funds, energy index funds, clean energy index funds, and you can get a lot more customized. But most people, when we talk about index funds, we're talking about, I'm throwing ticker symbols at you here, VTI, SPY, ITOT. Which one is my favorite? Again, they mostly all do the same thing. ITOT is my biggest holding, but again, that's in one account because that's the one that has the lowest fee in the account that I have it at. I think on public I have SPY. It's a tiny holding, but I'm not putting SPY and VOO and VTI all the same thing. So again, those are ticker symbols, so you can type this into your app on public or Fidelity or wherever. You're going to start to see these. Another way that you can compare these and see like what's the differences between the two, go into Yahoo Finance, type that into the search bar there, and any of these symbols I've mentioned, type them in there and you can actually hit the compare button. And I'm telling you now, they're going to be really, really similar. And I'm talking fractions of a difference between the two. Pick which one works. It doesn't matter what the cost is, because you can do a fractional share. So one can be $500 a share, the other one can be $15 a share. Doesn't matter. If I got $100, it's not gonna matter which one I choose. Okay, so the one thing I would say is fees do matter. The fees might be different between them, so you do want to check that out. You can check that out on each of the individual websites, but again, those are the ones that I tend to go to for new investors. But again, you do want to have that backbone. You do want to have something that is solid. Not everybody is equipped to trade and look at the market every day and do quote unquote the most all the time. Stick with what works. I think this is a classic for basketball reference. This is a classic layup. This is a classic free throw. You know what you're doing. It is going to be successful. It is going to score you points. It's going to be one of the easiest things for you to do. Again, I've managed over $140 million. I've seen millionaires over and over and over again. And I'm telling you now, a lot of them got there by investing in index funds. The others got there with a combination of index funds and some stocks, which we can talk about. And then very, very few got there by saying, hey, I got really lucky and picked this one stock and I was trading, I was doing all that extra stuff. I'm talking like one or two of the dozens of millionaires that I saw. All right, so that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.